Hello, 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 folks, and welcome to another episode of Brazen Insights with Asia. Happy Sunday. Want to start there. And I'm going to try and keep this episode as clear as possible because we are going to be getting into a lot more of the technical aspects when it comes to the next step in automation. Now, for those of you who watched yesterday's episode, you guys know we kind of went over the basics, right? When it comes to artificial intelligence, what it is, what tools people have already been using as it relates to chat when it comes to AI. Like when we talk about Chat GPT and Claude, we talked about the kind of AI those things are. They are considered LLMs, L as in Larry, L as in Larry, M as in Mavis, meaning large language models, which is pretty much an AI trained to process and generate human like text. We went over the different things that both ChatGPT and Claude can do. We talked about how Claude focuses primarily on reliability and safety. ChatGPT is a little bit more versatile in content creation, brainstorming, Q&A. How ChatGPT isn't all about trying to be all the way responsible when it comes to providing you with some solutions, if you will, when you input your information. But that's neither here nor there, ladies and gentlemen. We talked about that in yesterday's episode. Today, we're going to go over the next step. Now, I know you guys are like, Asia, you've been posting a lot like crazy lately. And it's really because I think I found my niche. Like, this is what I like. I love AI. I'm a Star Trek fan, and it's something I do want to share with you guys. And I am an America First person. So understand this automation 101 series that I've created for this channel. Just know it's all going to be brought to you from an America First perspective. So if you're not someone who shares those values, I mean, I'm not going to tell you to hop off the channel because you may gain something from this as it relates to the training that I'm providing on this channel. But understand that I am sharing this information in the hopes that America First hop into the industry. I don't really care if it's to build business or to be employed by this industry. The whole point of it being America First is to prove to Elon Musk and Vivek, number one, Americans are willing to do the job. They're looking everywhere for the training, and you assholes just don't want to provide it. Sorry for the swearing. I know it's Sunday. I'm going to try and do better. I won't swear that often. I will try my hardest. It is Sunday. So before we actually jump into this, I got to let you guys know this is my disclaimer. I am no expert. I literally just entered the intermediate stages of AI automation, and I am actually playing around with the automation system tools. And we are going to go over those when I'm a little bit more efficient and proficient, actually, I should say, in utilizing those systems, because I won't teach anything if I myself don't know how to use it. Right? I'm able to provide you the basic information because I fully understand the basics. So that's my disclaimer. I will give you a warrant. There is a warning. So for those of you with TikTok brains and Twitter attention spans, this is not the episode for you, right? This Automation 101 series, it isn't for you simply because this content is going to go past 15 minutes for sure. It's definitely going to go past 20. Not to say that there isn't content on here that I think you're not going to like. I think there is. I mean, if you are conservative and you like America First, just like I do, you're going to find some content on this channel that you really enjoy and you're going to have a good time. But if you're looking to be entertained, then this is not the channel for you. Excuse me, not the series for you. But there are some other things for Brazen Insights that I think you're going to enjoy. So you can still like, share, subscribe, and if you'd like, comment in the comment section if there is something you do want me to talk about, because I will continue to offer my 2 cents about politics and culture. That is something I still enjoy. But for those of you who are here for the education purposes, I hope you guys stick with me. So pull out a pen or pencil. Personally, I prefer pencil when it comes to this specific point of automation, because when I was using a pen, I was scratching out a whole bunch of stocko, and literally I have a whole notepad page of just scratch offs, and it just made sense to turn to the next one. So I recommend a pencil and pad. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and jump right on it. Your fault why you can't achieve it. Because you've been sitting here blaming whites. Oh, it's the white man. It's systemic racism why I can't have generational wealth. Amen and hallelujah to that. Amen and hallelujah. All right, folks. Now, I'm not going to rush through this one because prompt engineering is probably it's the most It's the biggest skill you need in automation, and that's really the best way of putting it. It is the top skill. You are not going to be able to integrate any kind of artificial intelligence into any kind of an automated system if you don't know how to prompt engineer, right? And the fact of the matter is, prompt engineering is pretty much you configuring ChatGPT or Claude AI to complete a task that you want it to do in a database or in a workflow or in a system that is being created for a business, for an individual. Like, I mean, these things can be used for absolutely everything and anything. But you're really asking AI to take action. And so you have to train it to take an action in the system of which you integrate it with. And the only way to do that is through your prompt engineering. And that's why it's important that you fully understand this skill. Now, I don't talk out of my ass. You guys can tell that even from yesterday's episode, I provided a PowerPoint to fully go over the different tools that can be used and leveraged, even if you're using a free platform, a free account, excuse me, on these tools like ChatGPT and on Claude. I explained to you how I leveraged AI on a free ChatGPT account to create a descriptive narrative that I could input into another AI tool to generate a image for a website that I designed. I showed you guys the example of that website. And I also showed you how, in creating some of the text content I needed for that website, how I leveraged ChatGPT for that content as well. And so, as I stated earlier, before we went to the opening of this episode of the show, I explained to you that ChatGPT is really good for content creation. But you are trying to level up your skill set. You are not looking just to generate content, right? Yourself. You're not looking for ideas. You're not looking for an editor's help. You're not looking to, rewrite something in your head. You are looking for it to be of some service to you. You're looking for ChatGPT to be, in a way, an employee of yours. And so think of prompt engineering like a way that you're training it, right? Think of it as a way that you are training AI. You're pretty. It's like you're putting in you're training training staff to take on a job. That's what you're doing ultimately. Now, before we jump into all of what prompt engineering is, make sure you guys are subscribing to the channel. If you guys are getting some kind of value from this series or from the channel in general, make sure you're subscribing, comment in the comment section. I do engage, but I do want to go ahead and pull up this slide for you guys because I'm ready to jump into it. I know you guys are, right? I am. So let's go ahead and pop this sucker in. Understanding prompt engineering, the key to unlocking AI's full potential for America first. Now, before I head over to the first slide, you guys know on this channel, everything I do here is about promoting America first values. And I've been saying since I've been back this year that I'm really about trying to get more America first individuals in the AI space because I want to prove to Elon Musk and Vivek that Americans can do these jobs if you provide the training. Like, it is that simple. We don't all have to be business owners, but if you have if this is the new job for us, train us and we'll take it. And it's a big deal for me. So everything in this entire series, as far as Automation 101 is concerned, folks, it's all going to be through the lens of America first. Everything that you're learning here is going to be how you can take these skills, take these new tools, level yourself up, and go out there and be of service to Main Street, right? Which are small businesses. Because I want them to be competitive. I want them to be able to compete with these big businesses. And I want them to be in a position where government can't just come in and try and decimate them again. And so the best way to do that, folks, is to be in this business if you are America first, right? To be in this field. But let's go ahead and let's jump right on in to the very first slide. What is prompt engineering? Now, before I jump into the bullet points I have listed here, I want to explain that prompting, right? It's pretty much, how do I put this in a layman's terms? Think of it this way. English is the new coding language, right? Prompting is our tool of coding AI. So as opposed to having needing to have the same level of expertise and intellect as some of these developers from back in the day, right? Where you needed to know how to code in JavaScript or in Python. You don't have to have that level of expertise in order to code AI, right? Because the new coding language, I keep using air quotes because technically it's like a form of coding, it's a form of engineering. The new way of coding is prompting. Okay, and that's why it's so important that you get this piece. Think of it like this: you can't do quadratic equations if you don't know multiplications. If you don't know how to multiply, there's no way in hell you're going to be able to accomplish a quadratic equation. The basic function of a quadratic equation is some of the most basic math, right? Multiplying and division, you kind of need to know how to do that before you can tackle a quadratic equation. Think of automation and leveraging AI in automating workflows. Think of it the same way. You cannot leverage AI in any kind of an automated workflow if you don't know prompt engineering. It is very important to that business, to the business model, to that industry. There's no way of doing it if you don't understand prompt engineering. So let's go ahead and jump right into these bullet points. First one: the art of crafting precise inputs for AI to generate accurate and relevant outputs. I did say we're going to get more technical here. There's no real way to simplify this anymore. Like, understand, I simplified this as much as I can. And so there's going to be some things that aren't included in this video because I'm trying to simplify it as much as I possibly can. I will link to some other channels like that I think will offer you guys some more information on prompting. And then we'll circle back, not this week. We'll probably circle back again, like maybe like a part 2 on prompting. But this is kind of like a generic overview of automations and AI and tools and things of that nature. And I do think it is important that you guys kind of get that general overview first, get some technical training. And if there is something that you're not getting, you can always put it in the comment section. You can always reach out to me on my social media handles. I do make those available here on the show. You guys can see it listed right there in the corner. You can't always reach me. You can DM me, ask me questions. And if I don't know the answer, I'm going to point you in the direction to someone who does. All right. Now let's repeat that first point again. The art of crafting precise inputs for AI to generate accurate, relevant outputs. Why is that important? I said this in yesterday's episode when it comes to ChatGPT specifically. Stupid is as stupid does. In other words, the level of intelligence of the person is as important as the tool itself. It just is. If you ask ChatGPT a very vague and stupid ass question, it will give you a pretty vague and stupid ass answer. Stupid is as stupid does. I'm not calling you guys stupid. So, for those of you who are not America First and don't watch this show and you're only on this channel because you're into AI, well, welcome to the channel. I'm glad you're watching. Understand, I'm not calling you stupid. It's just the best way to really explain what happens with ChatGPT. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I'll never forget when Senator Klobuchar was talking about disinformation, and she was saying how she's concerned that ChatGPT is gonna is gonna spread disinformation. And the question that she said, well, what if I ask ChatGPT this? And I instantly thought, well, that's a stupid question. Now, if you ask this question of a human being will say, well, I know what you're trying to say. But ChatGPT isn't a person. It isn't going to, gather context clues from this entire 20-minute, 30-minute first part of a hearing. It only has that one question that you input. And that one vague question that she's input has now become a stupid question because there's no context. And so that's why it's important that you put precise and specific inputs when you are using ChatGPT so that way you can get a relevant output and it's not so, you know, out of the norm from what you're looking for. It helps tailor AI responses for specific tasks or goals. If you aren't clear, if you are not specific, if you do not articulate exactly what you are looking for, then don't expect ChatGPT to give it to you. Just don't. And we're going to go over an example of what a vague input looks like. And then I'm going to show you guys the difference in ChatGPT's response when you input a vague prompt, a vague input versus a well thought out prompt. Okay, we're going to show you that. And the reason why you want to do it this way is because it's essential for maximizing the utility of AI. Notice how it does all of that, how all of these bullet points tie into one another. They all do. If you put in a well thought out, articulated prompt, it helps the AI give you the relevant responses for whatever task or goal you give it. Maybe the task is content creation. Maybe the task is a specific action you're looking for it to do, right? And when you do it this way, it maximizes it totally makes it better. It does. Believe me, it does. All right? And I think you got I'm telling you, you really want to make sure that you're mastering prompting and you are being clear and specific. And I'm telling you right now, you better know how to speak proper English. Now, there's a moment where you're going to use slang in regular conversation, and every now and again, ain't gonna drop in. Like sometimes I enjoy, like I really like to say, "Hey, the math ain't mathin'," but I'm not being, you know, I'm being a little bit facetious. I'm not being proper. I'm being this way. I'm being facetious on purpose, right? Because there's a point that I'm trying to make that something's not making sense. Something that I just heard you say, or a policy that just came out, or whatever it is, it's not adding up. It's not making sense. And sometimes you say those things out of, just to be sarcastic, to be facetious, right? To be an ass H word, I'm going to say that. But when I input in ChatGPT, I can't say the math ain't mathin'. I have to be clear, I have to be articulate, and I need to speak proper English. So don't come up here, don't go on ChatGPT and think you can talk slang and think you're going to get away with it. That's one thing. So black people, the ones who don't want to do a damn thing about their language, understand you're going to be left behind. And I'm not even going to lie, black folk like me, we're going to leave you there. Because I'm telling you right now, I could care less about bringing you along for the ride. I don't identify as black. I say it all the time on this channel, but that's not what this episode is about. We're going to move on to the next slide. Oh, you guys see I'm getting caught up. Here we go. Next slide. Before we actually go into the key elements, I actually want to show you guys an example of a vague prompt, because this is what people do all the time. And it's not bad if you have no interest in getting a job in AI, right? But understand, when the workforce starts to change, this is not going to be allowed. This right here, like what you're seeing on the screen, this is not okay if you're trying to get a job in AI. If you want to work for an AI agency, if you want to be an AI consultant, you want to be an AI developer, you cannot be an AI developer because you need to master prompt engineering. And this nonsense, that is not getting you a job as an AI developer, like at all. I have here, give me a blog about finances. The average person does that. And it's not a problem, right? It isn't. But I'm going to tell you right now, when I was designing the website I was telling you guys about, I couldn't just say this. I needed actual narrative to design that website. I needed to be clear and specific and articulate the business type that I needed a description for. For every membership, I had to describe the name of the business. I had to describe the business, the character of the business. I had to actually tell ChatGPT how I wanted it to sound, that I needed it to sound royal, like royal-esque, and I needed it to sound kind of waspy and pompous. I had to be as descriptive as possible when telling it to generate the content for the website. So even I knew then I couldn't be this vague when I needed a job done. I needed an assistant to generate the right content for that website. This isn't going to work. It's not. Now, this is okay for a damn high school student. This crap right here is okay for a high school student. It's okay for someone in middle school, right? Generation Alpha, I think they're called. This is okay for them. But it's sure as hell not okay for the people trying to get these jobs in AI agencies as a consultant. If you want to actually get a job or build a business in AI, this isn't good. Why is it bad? Because it lacks the role, it lacks the task. You don't provide it any specifics, and everything that it's going to generate is going to be 100% generic. And I'm going to show you guys towards the end of this those different examples of when I put give me a blog about finances and when we input the actual prompt that we are going to generate by the end of this. And I'm not even gonna lie to you guys, it's gonna be quite difficult to show you the full out prompt on the slideshow on the slideshow that I have for you. So when I input it, I will read we'll read it out again, but we're pretty much going to be building this prompt together here right now. All right. So again, the example that we have here of a vague prompt, give me a blog about finances. Remember, this is a no go. You are not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to do this at all. It's too vague. It doesn't give any specifics. All right. So now we're going to go over the types of the elements that make a good prompt. We need to go over these. And I'm just going to give you kind of the rundown of each one. And then we're going to break down an example for every one of them. And I'll explain them a little bit further. And remember when I said I did try to simplify prompt engineering as much as possible so it wasn't so technical. So there are some things that are left out of this. I will bring it up. I'll bring it up later when I circle back to it in another episode. But again, this is a general overview of a good prompt, and I will give you guys a little bit more details down the road, and I will link some other educational channels, some of the channels that I've been watching actually, and they've been quite helpful. So to start with, number one, the role, right? Role. Define the AI's identity. Think of that like a job title, if you will, right? What's the job? Number two is task. Specify the desired output. Number three, specifics. Add detailed instructions and tone. Number four, context. Provide background information and emotional cues. Now, when it comes to number three and number four, there's something that's called emotional prompting, and it's very important that you guys understand emotional prompting. And it's slightly different between number three and number four, and I'll explain that when we reach those slides. Number five, examples. Supply input output samples. It's pretty much that's pretty much self-explanatory. Like you guys know what it means to add to provide an example, right? That's pretty self-explanatory. And number six, lost in the middle. Lost in the middle element. Reinforce key details and add reminders. That one is so important. And I'm going to tell you why before we jump into it. I was getting so frustrated with ChatGPT for a long time. I'm not even lying. When I first started using it, it was getting on my nerves. And mind you, I've been using this thing since 2023. And my client needed his website. This was a long time ago when I started building this website. I want to say it was like a long time ago. I started designing the website relatively around, I'll say September, somewhere in the October, and somewhere in the September range, right? In the August, September. I'm just playing around with ideas because the business hadn't yet found a real location just yet. And then before I knew it, I got a call from my client. Hey, I got a location. I'm opening up in a week. Can you build this website? Oh, snap. By that point, I had leveraged AI in some ways, but now I'm like, I can't even take the time to really build this thing. I really need AI. And when I was building it, I was clear again. I'm a writer, right? So I mean, on the side, I like to write. I'm not published. I mean, I self published something. I literally got tired of seeing it on my computer. I ordered it and I had it sent to myself. So technically, yeah, I'm a self published writer. Anyway, side note, I had the ability and the skill set to write creatively and to write long passages and stuff like that, and to be descriptive, to be articulate, specific. Like I can do that. And so I'm doing all of this in ChatGPT, but every time it would generate an output, it seemed to have forgot everything I wrote in between from the beginning to the end. It's like it remembered the top and it forgot the end, and everything in the middle it totally forgot, and it was frustrating the shit out of me. Excuse me. frustrated the crap out of me. It is Sunday. I'm going to work on my swearing. And so when I started learning about artificial intelligence and automation, and I was learning about prompt engineering, and I got to the lost in the middle section, it was like, is that why? That part is going to be so significant. You guys, idea that is so important because, man, how much designing that website would have been a lot less frustrating if I knew about lost in the middle, right? Reinforcing the key details of the job and the tasks and the context and adding any little reminders just in case. So that way the AI knew exactly what I needed from it. Okay, so we're going to head over to the next slide, ladies and gentlemen. We already went through the vague prompt. Now we're going to go over how it is done. Okay, now I am going to show you guys what the last slide, I'm going to show you guys what a good prompt looks like. It's the font may be too small for you guys to read, but don't worry about it. I will input it into my chat GPT so you guys can see the difference in the responses by chat GPT. Here we go. So the first one is role, right? And I do tell you what it is again. Role is to define the AI's identity. Here's an example of that. You are a financial blogger assistant specializing in creating engaging, informative content for an audience interested in budgeting, saving, and financial independence. That's the role. Now, remember what that vague prompt said? Generate a financial blog. That's what it said. Generate a financial blog. Give me a financial blog. That's all I need. Give me a blog about finances. It was that vague. Here we have a role. We've identified the role for the AI. Here's your job. This is your title. This is what you're going to do. You're a financial blog assistant. That's your job title. And these are your specialties. You create engaging, informative content for an audience interested in budgeting, saving, and financial independence, right? That's clear. That is articulate. That's exactly what you need to be doing when you input your prompts. Heading on to task. Remember what task is? Specify the desired output. Here's an example. Excuse me. Write a blog post about financial strategies using the following step-by-step process. Now, let me be clear about the task section. And the task section, you got to remember, task doesn't have to be too long. And this is something that I didn't put in the slides because, again, I didn't want these slides to be over the top and I didn't want to make it too technical. Again, I did say I wanted to simplify this. But when you are entering your prompt, you have to make sure not to oversaturate it with too much text, okay? Because the thing about ChatGPT, even if you're using a free or a paid account, there are a certain amount of inputs that you can put out and a certain amount of outputs you can receive on a free account and a paid account. It's not unlimited. It's not unlimited. Think of it this way. Long time ago, like I turned 30 this year. When I was a kid, it wasn't unlimited texting, right? I didn't have that. If you wanted unlimited texting, you had to spend a crap ton of money to have unlimited texting. You were able to do it for so much. Maybe you had, $50 on your account and you'd be able to text for that amount. But then when you run out, and you have to wait to the next month to be able to text again. It's something similar to that. You don't have the unlimited output. You don't have unlimited input output for a particular chat. What will end up happening is ChatGPT, when you reach your limit, it will tell you have reached your limit. Wait this amount of hours. Your only other option, you have two options: wait or start a new chat. But now you would have lost all the conversation that you would have had earlier on with your chat GPT. So you have to be very careful about how much data you're inputting to your prompts, especially because if it's oversaturated and you're looking for too many outputs, especially if you're using it for free, you don't want to run out of outputs from ChatGPT where it tells you maybe you have to wait 10 hours before you can start it up again, but you need the information like right then. So you got to be careful about that. But let's get back to the slides. Remember, task, specify the desired outcome, the output. Example, write a blog post about financial strategies using the following step-by-step process. Analyze the provided income, expenses, debt, and savings goals. Craft a clear and practical outline for achieving financial milestones. Include tips on optimizing monthly budgets. See, this is the thing, right? And this is where you would be specific. You would be clear, right? Try and not make you don't have to break it up so much. The chat GPT will kind of get an idea because you would have provided it the role, and then there's other elements that we're going to add that can kind of help chat GPT piece together the kind of content that this financial blogger wants out there on their blog, right? So you just be careful about those out about how much you're inputting on this prompt, is so that way you're not kind of maxing out on your output limit. All right. Going on to the next slide here, heading on to specifics. Add detailed instructions and tone. Now, tone is referring to the emotional prompting that I mentioned earlier. And the emotional prompting in specifics is different than the emotional prompting in context. And the reason why, personally, why I think that, I'm not saying that this is what it is, but based on my own personal experience and how I kind of took it in some of these trainings that I've been in, and some of the content that I've actually watched as it relate to prompt engineering, specifically with specifics, it's not so much about let me read the example and then I can explain it better. Okay. So again, specifics, add detailed instructions and tone. Example, this task is crucial to helping our readers take their first steps toward financial independence. Your ability to analyze financial details and present them in a relatable and actionable way is greatly appreciated and contributes to the success of our blog. Look at the language in that, right? Focus on the language. This task is crucial. So I am pointing out how significant the job that this AI has, how significant it is to the success of the business, right? I'm telling it, it's crucial to our revenue. It's crucial for the audience. Like, I need you to understand that the job you have is that important, right? Like, I am really trying to lay it on thick to this chat GPT, to this AI. You got a big job, and it's probably the most important, if not the most important. And then you see where I also put it, that let's start here where it says relatable and actionable way is greatly appreciated and contributes to the success of our blog. When I wrote this, I referred to our as me and the chat GPT, kind of enforcing this idea that we are the team and that I greatly appreciate everything that it's doing for me, right? So I'm showing gratitude. I'm expressing that we're a team and that I'm grateful for all the work that the chat GPT is doing. And at the same time, reinforcing that notion, you have the most important job. You're the one generating all of the content, at least for this blog. You are the most important part of the business, because if I'm a financial blogger and you're the one writing the blogs, you got the most significant part. And I'm laying it on thick in this, right? So that's the emotional prompting that you want to really tie in as far as the specifics is concerned. It's not necessarily, you know, there's no real way, there's no need to kind of repeat everything that you laid out in role and task. When you wrote out your tasks, you wrote out everything that you need to input, so that way it understood what you were looking for it to do. That's the whole point of tasks. Specifics is really just so that way you can lay it on thick and really show how significant the role that they have is in your business. And it's similar to the context part as well. So let's head over to context. Provides background information and emotional cues. Here's our example, and I can explain that emotional prompting again. This financial blog success is solely dependent on your superior skills to generate content that is relatable and actionable. Now, as a writer, I have a wild imagination, and so finding language that is over dramatizing is not difficult, like at all. It's actually quite easy for me. Now, you guys have to get comfortable in doing that. Over dramatizing it, I will have to say, if you are a female this is going to be the easiest part for you. Because let's be for real, women can kind of be over the top dramatic and just ridiculously irritating in that regard. But that annoyance, that irritation is going to be a great use for this part of a prompt. Okay. So if you have girlfriends and they have an ability to be over the top dramatic, tag them in for this part of the prompting. Let them handle specifics in the context part, because that emotional state of mind that women find themselves in a lot could be useful. Crap could be useful here. Look at what I did here when I provided the background information and the emotional cues. This financial blog success, the background information is pretty much explaining the status of where we are and what could happen if I don't utilize your skills, right? And explaining to the chat GPT, I am solely dependent on your skill set here. That I'm dramatizing it, of course, right? I'm simply telling it, you don't understand. Like, I need you. I really need you to be the best you can be. And I'm really talking up how great ChatGPT is when I say your superior skills to generate content. Like, I need to be able to rely on it because it is solely, my business is solely dependent on your ability. And I really need you to know that. And by reinforcing the specifics with those reinforcing context and specific with emotional cues, I feel like this is why ChatGPT is better for prompting. If you ask me, I think it's far better for prompting than Claude, simply because of that versatility and that ability to engage with you like a human being. And I think that's why the emotional prompting just works better in ChatGPT. I've used both. I prefer ChatGPT. I haven't paid for Claude, so I don't know if Claude are better than ChatGPT. I haven't used those yet as far as paying for those features, but who knows, right? So just understand emotional prompting is really about laying it on thick, the emotions, and showing your gratitude and explaining, how dependent your business is, and showing gratitude that it's exercising its ability to contribute to your business's success, right? And saying how crucial it is and all that jazz. All right, on to the next slide, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so this is where it's going to get a little bit difficult to see. It's like the way that it's saved. So I can read the first part because you guys have to understand the examples are important, right? You got to show the examples. It's the supply input and output samples. You can't see it here. When I'll make the link available I'll make the PDF available in some way for you guys to download it. I don't know how I'm going to do that yet. I'm going to figure that out. I haven't put together a full out community where people can kind of just join in and download the materials that I'm generating. But once I get back in there, I will make it work. But let me just read it for you. This is another reason why you need your pen and paper, okay? Because examples, remember, supply input and output samples. Example number 1 is input, right? Remember, I'm a financial blogger. I'm putting in, I need it to generate the blog for me. And so one of the examples I'm giving it is input monthly income is $4,000, debt is $10,000, expensive is $2,200, savings goal is 20%. So the output would be the output that I'm looking for, or that ChatGPT would give me, that I want it to give me, with the $4,000 monthly income and $2,200 in expenses. Prioritize paying down debt while saving 10% of your income, which is $400 each month. Allocate the remaining funds to discretionary spending and emergency funds, right? So I'm pretty much inputting examples of the types of articles I want it to create for me. So this is an example that I would input of what I want you to write. And then on the output, this is what you would give me. And if I needed it to do more, once it gives me one particular output, you can always expand once it gives you that first output. But that first output is very important, right? Because that's the thing that's going to generate most of the article, of the blog that you're looking for, that I'm looking for as the financial blogger, right? And so I'll add like another 2 examples. Some people like to add 3 or 4, but remember what I said about not oversaturating your prompts with too much. I'm going to move off of examples and head right into lost in the middle, because that is the part that I think everyone needs to pay the most to. Once you get through all the rest of the stuff, lost in the middle. As a financial blogging assistant, ensure the post highlights simple and achievable strategies for budgeting, saving, and tracking financial progress. Repeat key details like net income, debt levels, and expenses throughout the post to maintain clarity and engagement. Make sure to end with actionable takeaways for the readers. That literally sums up the entire prompt from the role all the way down to the examples. I am reminding it of its job. I'm reminding it of its tasks. I'm reminding it of the specifics and the context and the point of it. And if there's any little reminders that maybe I forgot to add, some little details here or there that I need to include, I can add it here. And so it sums up everything and it remembers all of the middle that generally it forgets, right? Literally, like how my whole slide just pretty much forgot to enter all of the examples here, right? Sometimes this is how ChatGPT is. It remembers here, the top, and it remembers here. These are the two parts that ChatGPT always remembers. This part at the top, right here, and this part here at the bottom, right there. Everything in the middle, ChatGPT forgets unless you remember lost in the middle. I mean, I didn't plan that to happen. Like, who would have thought that actually worked out pretty perfectly in explaining lost in the middle? But you guys are kind of getting the point of prompting, right? Like, this is what it looks like in its entirety when you actually get to an actual full out prompt, right? So let me see if I can pull it up, right? So this is a fully written prompt. Like, I don't know if you guys can actually see it. Like I said, I'm going to show you, I'm going to enter this prompt into my chat GPT. I will show you guys that so you can see the different input, the different outputs that you get when you put the vague one in and when you put the fully written example of a good prompt, right? We're going to input both. But before we do that, folks, I want to you know me. Everything is in the gate is in the perspective of America First. That is what this channel is about. America First and AI. How does this help America First, right? How does prompt engineering help America First? Number one, it automates content creation to free up valuable time for business owners. So now they don't got to worry about, trying to generate new videos and new clips to post to TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. They don't have to do all of that because AI is going to do it for them. If you utilize your prompt engineering skills, you can literally code an AI agent or any form of automated system. And you can literally have it create anything for that business owner. They don't have to worry about doing it themselves now. All they got to do is let the AI do it. It'll post across all social medias if that's what you wanted. It could do that for it. And it frees up their time. Now they can focus on the customers that are coming through the door or any online sales that maybe they have. Or maybe they need to actually do some customer service, which that too can be automated. They can literally focus on the customers that are purchasing online or coming into the store. And that's important because it'll increase revenue and really make productivity more efficient. What else can it do? Generate tailored marketing content to reach and engage specific customer segments. Really, pretty much like getting some kind of insights about different products and things like that most customers are purchasing, right? Like a hardware store, right? For example, they can get insights in some of the most popular tools and products that people are purchasing and see what Home Depot was selling it for, and they can stock their hardware store with those products. So now they can compete with Home Depot. They don't have to go to Home Depot. People don't got to go to Home Depot anymore. They can go to the neighborhood hardware store. That's what they can do. And that's important. The next one provides actionable insights through AI analysis, improving decision making and strategy. Again, I just used the hardware store. These two things are really specific because they're the same thing in a way, right? And the next one, help small businesses scale efficiently by streamlining operations with AI-driven processes like think inventory management. AI can do all of that, and all you got to do is focus on dealing with the customers. All you got to do is focus on stocking your shelves with the products that you were pretty much advised to purchase by your AI because it provided you the insights of what your customers are buying from the big chain businesses that are their competitors. of small business. This is what AI automation could do for small businesses. And if we provide those services, we're going to change the game for small business. Main Street will be in a much more competitive than they ever have been before, ladies and gentlemen. And that makes me quite very, very, very happy. Now, before I end this, I did tell you guys I am going to show you an example of when you enter a vague input into chat gpt, and when you put in a full out prompt. Okay, so what I'm going to do for you guys is, let me go ahead and open up the chat gpt. Now remember, you guys, I pay for chat gpt, so I actually have this I have a little bit more tokens, if you will. My limit is not the same as some of you guys. It isn't. I'm able to do a little bit more than the average person, simply because, you know, I pay for it. I'm going to first show you what the output looks like when you only enter the vague prompt that we had talked about earlier today. Remember, the vague output, there was no specifics, there was no role, there was no task. It was pretty much very generic. Like nothing was made, nothing was clear. Okay, so this is what you're going to get when you enter this kind of a vague prompt, which again, mostly everybody does. And it's okay if you're just trying to leverage AI for something simple, or you're treating ChatGPT, Google it. But ultimately, if you're trying to be more efficient, this is not the way to go. So here we go. We're going to enter in this vague prompt, and this is what you're going to get. All right. Here is a blog tailored to financial literacy, suitable for your audience and goals, right? Mastering your finances, building a foundation for wealth. Money touches every aspect of our lives, blah, 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 blah. Now, it's giving you everything related to finance. Everything. It is in no way specific. It is all over the place. Tracking income and stuff, right? Understand your own financial baseline. And then it goes on to set clear goals, budget, blah, blah, blah. Emergency fund, eliminate debt strategically, investing early, protect your wealth, adopt a wealth building mindset. It's like everything that it's giving you here, each one of these subjects, right? Adopt a wealth building mindset. That's a blog in and of itself. Protect your wealth, blog in and of itself. Start investing early, blog of itself. Eliminating debt, another blog. So it's being very generic. It is not being specific because you haven't made it be that way. Right? Now, let's go to what happens when you actually request, right? When you want it to, when we actually put in our well thought out prompt. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's pull that one up now. Okay, you guys, so I have already did the copying and paste. I've already added the entire prompt in here. Now, there is this thing called the markdown formatting, and I didn't go over that in this. But here's what I'll say. I'll try to run through it as quickly as possible because we're already over longer than I wanted to for this, but I want to show you a little bit. And I don't know if you guys see it, but at every moment where you have an element that we discussed in this, where it be role, task, specifics, you're going to put one hashtag. Why we use these, I mean, even in the trainings that I've done, they don't explain if this changes anything when it comes to the outputting that you get from ChatGPT, but in some shape or form, it's like you're kind of signifying what is really important for them, for it to focus on, like which aspects of this that you're focusing on. And so the hashtags, one hashtag means this is the most important, a double hashtag means secondary information. So the main element, for example, the role is one hashtag, task hashtag. When you get to the tasks, you're going to list those out. Those are going to be things that you list out with like a regular hyphen. But when you get to things like, again, tasks, content, context, specifics, that's going to all be hashtags. Remember the list for your, tasks. If you do have a task list, like there was about four in the example that I showed you, and we're putting this together, had multiple tasks. And so we put those hyphens, right? You put the hashtag near the elements. And so for context, specifics, examples, you're going to put, for the element example, you're going to put one hashtag. But now for every example that you have listed, it's two hashtags. And so in our example, in our examples element, we have two examples. So we're going to put two hashtags. And then when we get to lost in the middle, again, that's going to be one hashtag. So remember, this is just a markdown. And again, we're going to circle back and we're going to go over formatting, especially markdown formatting. And we're going to go over some other things for prompt engineering. I just really wanted to kind of give you guys a general overview of what you need so you can just kind of get in there and just start practicing prompting, because it's important, especially if you want to kind of jump in to any kind of automation system that you eventually down the road want to be able to create. Okay, so now that we've actually did the markdown format for our prompt, let's go ahead and enter this into our ChatGPT and see what results we get this time now that we've entered it. And there we go. It actually gave me everything that I needed that was specific. And now, anytime when I configure my AI, when this is the prompt that I've entered into my chat GPT, when it saves, and again, you want to make sure you're saving these chats in your chat GPT, people. It's very important that you're saving these chats, because let's say I am a financial blogger. I'm going to want to save this chat. This is the prompt that has been added into, let's say, the mindset of my ChatGPT. So anytime I want to write a blog, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to ask it to generate a new blog based on this behavior that I've added into it, based on this original prompt. And if the output that I got, if let's say the initial output that I get from this prompt isn't exactly what I'm looking for, all I got to do is go back into the prompt and make a couple of adjustments as far as the tasks and specifics are concerned. Like maybe I need more, maybe I need less specific, and I need it to be a little bit more open, so that way I can always ask it for new content, and it's not always the same subject, right? And that's what I see here, right? Because this entire thing, it's very specific. It gives me exactly what I'm looking for as far as what I asked it to do. I told it to give me a step-by-step guide in achieving financial independence. So it generated an entire blog for me. Now, what is my blog about? Is it all about personal finance? Then I need to go into my prompt and I need to advise my AI. I need you to be a little bit more open to all forms of personal finance content creation, because we have to keep this ongoing, and the content can't always sound the same. It can't be so redundant, right? So I need to be clear and specific, but I still need the content to be a little bit more open, so that way every blog post doesn't sound the same. But that's what I would do if I'm prompt engineering this as the financial blogger. Now, let's say I'm the person that's creating this AI assistant for a financial blogger. I'm going to test this out. And from the test, I know I got to go into the prompt. I got to make some changes. It's far too specific, because it won't allow, it really is going to keep creating blog posts that are the same. So I need to be able to go in there. I need to make it less specific in a specific area of the prompt. But you'll get better at this the more you prompt, and the more you do, you're doing prompt engineering. Like that's how I know to do this, right? Because of the output that I got. And it's a fantastic first blog, right? For a financial blogger. But what about when they need to generate another one and another one, especially if they are a blog that has to post a new one every single day? They can't all sound the same. It has to be open. It has to be versatile in some shape or form when it's generating this type of content. And so I need to configure this AI to be a little bit better. Now, we're going to eventually, when I go into that part, I'm going to show you how you are configuring these chat GPTs to be an AI assistant and how that AI assistant is actually taking an action. And that's not all the way easy. And that's the part that I'm trying to get you guys to. And that's the next video. Okay, that's really where we're headed next. And it's not going to be easy. That's probably going to be the longest video. And this one's already touched an hour, ladies and gentlemen. So you can already imagine. But that is my time. Won't even lie. Like, understand, this episode is coming out. But from your perspective, it's today, Sunday. But I recorded this Friday night because I'm really trying to get as much information out there. Because the second I'm back at work, getting this educational stuff out during the week is going to be that much more difficult because I work a full-time job and pretty 40 hours a week, and I spend about 15 hours in transportation. By the time I get home, the last thing I want to do is be on my YouTube channel. So most of my episodes get recorded first thing in the morning when I'm up, and they're scheduled to release. And there's no time to do educational content when I'm recording in the morning. So the weekends are it. So it's already on my end, 12:15. It's 1 a.m. if you're on the East Coast. It's a lot here, folks. But I'm so glad for those of you who did stick around. For those, like I said, this is not the series. If you are a TikTok brain or Twitter attention span, if there's some questions that you guys have for me about prompt engineering, go ahead and drop it in the comment section. I know I went through like a lot here and there's still some missing. If there's some constructive criticism you guys may have of my teaching style, that's fine. I'm tough enough. I can take the criticism, be respectful about it, but be constructive, because I can't get better if no one tells me where I'm messing up or where I can do better. The only way for me to get better is to find out where I'm going wrong. So tell me if there's something that you guys need for me to do to be a little bit more. Well, I don't know. I don't even know what I could do better until you guys tell me. So put it in the comment section. If you haven't already, like and subscribe, comment down below. If you guys are interested in learning more about AI, you guys know the series. I've already created the playlist. It is called America First AI playlist. It is on my when you come to Brazen Insights channel, head over to the playlist and you will see that all of these videos I am adding into that playlist is for America First, getting into AI automation. And all of this is really just about education and really about sharing what I learned. Remember, I'm in the intermediate stages. I'm already trying to I'm at the point where I'm learning to build an automated system, because I'm that excited about it, and that's where I'm at now. So just let me know what you guys think. Drop it in the comment section. God bless you all. That is my time. And until next time. Your fault why you can't achieve it. Because you've been sitting here blaming whites. Oh, it's the white man. It's systemic racism why I can't have generational wealth. Amen and hallelujah to that. Amen and hallelujah.